EA and Bethesda have something in common. Red Dead Redemption 2, microtransactions that aren't just for cosmetics. All that and more after a word from our sponsors.
Hello! Hello! Aki desu. My name is Aki! This is my farm. Oh yeah. My Japanese tea, please. Thank you.
It seems that Fallout 76 is the only one running into issues with physical sales going down by large margins. Battlefield 5's physical sales are down by more than 50% from Battlefield 1. Once again, this is taken from the UK charts. UK sales charts have the physical sales from EA's latest first-person shooter down significantly when compared to the sales of 2017's Battlefield 1. The article even states that there are a number of caveats to the stories, most notably the UK sale charts only count physical sales in its country, so that's not necessarily a trend that you'll see replicated across the world. And digital distribution becomes more popular. We should expect to see physical copies make up a smaller slice of the overall sales. I don't think digital copies of Battlefield 5 were 50% higher this time around over the course of a year. It's simply because EA has done everything wrong. I don't even know why. When I think about it, and I genuinely think about it, I sometimes look at the gaming companies and I think to myself, why? Why do you do this? Why would you do this? The whole thing with Patrick Sutherland telling gamers that they were ignorant for women in World War II fighting the war. And then you actually see that the game has come out and it's come to light that one of the war stories, you know, the one with the woman who goes off and destroys the heavy water from the Nazi party, it turns out it was a team of Norwegian commandos that did this shit. Tons of men died to make this happen. And then EA rewrites it to be one woman does the work of a whole fucking commando unit of Norwegians.
I nearly spilt my sanity all over the floor.
And you wonder why people are put off by this. I'll admit, like, when they explain, well, there's a YouTuber, I can't remember his name, I'll probably use a clip, but when I find it, it'll be here.
Sit to a cabin in the woods where a German soldier is waiting. She physically overpowers him, strangles him, and then passes out from exhaustion. She wakes up and reads her mother's notes and decides to undertake the mission to destroy the heavy water shipments on her own, since there was no one there at the rendezvous point. The daughter succeeds in destroying most of the shipments, and then her mother sacrifices herself in order to sink a German submarine carrying the very last shipment of heavy water. The problem with this scenario is that it's a blatant lie. It's obviously based on the Allies' plan to cripple the Norwegian Veermork plant in 1943, which was being used by Germany to produce heavy water. But DICE's version of events completely writes the real-life Norwegian commandos out of their own story.
The idea that women are too weak to fight or too delicate to function in a military setting is part of patriarchy. It's part of patriarchy.
Like, when he explains what went down, it seemed like a more harrowing story, especially with how many guys died for them just to get to the point. And the fact that they were able to take out this entire factory facility without killing anyone to get to it is also fairly fucking amazing. But instead, they go all G.I. Jane with it. It's disingenuous. There are so many stories that EA took creative license with to sort of push a narrative that is very liberal, you know, and I'm a pretty liberal guy in the sense of leave me the fuck alone with your bullshit. That's being liberal, isn't it? But really, they took real life stories and altered them to fit a more social justice kind of narrative. And it takes away from what was actually done and giving credit where it was most likely due. This is one of the many reasons why people were put off, because we knew what we were getting the second the trailer hit. EA was rewriting history with Battlefield 5, and for what reason? Why? It made no sense. On top of insulting the gaming culture, insulting the people that would buy your game to cater to people who probably don't game or wouldn't bother buying your fucking game also makes no sense. Have you learned nothing from Cliff Brzezinski's career? Have you learned nothing from Lawbreakers? The whole term get woke, go broke kind of rings fucking true, man. And it's sad. EA technically got exactly what it deserved. DICE's Battlefield 5 is a real huge miss. And from what I understand from people that have played the game, they don't have a major gripe with it. Battlefield 5 is essentially meh. It's okay. It's kind of like more of the same. Essentially, Battlefield 5 feels like a better version of Battlefield 1. And with a turnaround time of 1 year, I'm not really surprised. So nobody's really hyped for it. On top of that, Red Dead Redemption came out, which pretty much buried all of the competition. And speaking of Red Dead Redemption 2 launched its online beta on November 27th, which was yesterday. This was actually kind of tier-based. If you bought the really hyper-expensive version of Red Dead Redemption 2, you would gain access to the beta a day earlier than people who didn't. Also keep in mind that Take-Two and Rockstar Games didn't really make it clear that if you bought any specific version of the game, it would grant you earlier access to said beta. I think this is probably due to the success that EA did have with their weird launching program of Battlefield 5, which I've already talked about, where people who paid to be on EA's special premium pass, it's $100 a month, to stream gaming, got it a week or two earlier than everyone else. It's kind of crazy. And those that paid for the super hyper special edition also got it earlier than the average schmo, creating a very weird dichotomy, if you will. I may have used that word incorrectly, but it creates this sort of have and have nots. The people who are willing to pay game companies $100 to $200 for a special edition of the game can get early access to said game or betas. It's actually not cool, in my personal opinion. Once again, they find another way to nickel and dime gamers. Bethesda, as we all know, did this with their Break It Early test.
All you need is smiles. Lots and lots of smiley smiles.
And now Rockstar implements it without really saying that it would be a thing, which has left a few people displeased, but not enough for anybody to raise a real stink. In all honesty, everyone's so high on the hype juice, they kind of don't care. And that's what the gaming companies want. They want you to be so devoted to the game that they can do whatever they want and you will gladly accept it. Basically, the other tiers are if you play the game on release date, you could play on Thursday. Oh, damn, another day. That's gay. Really? You have to wait another day if you played it on release date with a normal copy? So it's a 2-day jump for people who paid the most. If you played the game within the first 3 days of it being released, you can't play till the 30th. So if you were an asshole and didn't buy the game in that crucial beginning phase where they needed the day one sort of crap, you know, when Red Dead Redemption came out and they talked about how much it made in a single day, it eclipsed the predecessor, but didn't come as close as GTA 5. So there was added incentive. Wow. You know this will be a thing in the future, right? A dick move, if any. But whatever. Most people just sit there and go, hey, I'm happy with it. It's a good game, whatever. But don't fear. Red Dead Redemption has already started to implement its in-game microtransactions, which I said would happen. Gold bars. Now, the gold bar system is going to be kind of like shark cards. Or, well, that's how they pretty much announced it. That gold bars would be simply for cosmetics only. Cosmetics only. Cosmetics only. Turns out on Twitter, NG Now in Color put out this tweet. Gold is only for cosmetics. Yeah, fuck right off. It turns out that you can buy Honor in Red Dead Redemption 2 for the price of 3 gold bars. Now, for those of us who are on PC and don't have it, you don't really know what the Honor system's for online. Following further tweets from NG, Honor literally does nothing in multiplayer. NG says again, it restricts access to certain missions, from what I've seen.
No. Oh.
If you don't have a certain level of honor, and you don't want to grind for that level of honor, you can now use gold bars to boost your honor to accept said missions. I have nothing for it, really. I mean, it's sad. It really is. Just like, I'm not really surprised. It's the gaming industry. It is. When you see things from the ESRB saying, loot boxes are one way that players can enhance the experience that video games offer. Contrary to assertions, loot boxes are not gambling. They have no real-world value. Players always receive something that enhances their experience, and they are entirely optional to purchase. They can enhance the experience for those who choose to use them, but have no impact on those who do not. Well, In this case, if you don't have the time to grind your life away for honor, and you don't want to pay money to get gold bars in Red Dead Redemption 2 to do some online missions, well, this doesn't affect you, you idiot. How dare you have any sort of issue with this? I should just get the hell out of here because it's depressing, really, looking at all of this. Well, that's it for a random gaming news. Maybe I might make it a weekly thing where I take a bunch of stories and do it at once. But then again, with the way gaming is, so much crap comes out that waiting a week to say something is not a good idea. So maybe I'll do condensed videos instead of, who knows the hell I do. I don't know what I'm doing anymore. I don't. I'm grief-stricken and trying to do stuff to keep myself from throwing food on the floor for a dog that doesn't exist. It's like, here, Choochie, have some chicken. Throw it on the floor. The cat comes over like, what the fuck are you doing? And I'm like, I'm sorry, Smokey. I forgot Choochie's dead. And he goes, yeah. Isn't it great? And I go, fuck off, cat. And then he pisses on my floor. Merry Christmas. Rate, comment, subscribe, all these choose to. If not, to hell with it. Because you know me, I can't ask anyone to give more of a shit to me in the age of apathy. And this truly is the age of apathy. It's the dark age of gaming. Games have never looked more beautiful, but they have never been more devoid of substance. Gaming at this point is the equivalent of interactive Twitch dots.